and the salesperson had like a suit and tie on, and then his dog, I guess, was like came in the room and he had to get up, and he had like nothing on underneath. He just has his boxers on.
No way!
All right, what's up, everybody? Well, we're back. For everybody who's joining the show for the first time, glad to see you. Everybody else that's back, I'm glad to see you too. Stoked for this show. We're gonna talk about new things that are happening in AI, things that are happening in business, some things are happening in the sports world, and we have our first guest, Greg Fisher. He's the founder of TripShock, WaveRez, Awkward Water Sports Guys podcast, got some books. What's up, Greg?
Hey guys, glad to be here. I think I'm like your number one fan too. Add that to my resume. Yeah, man. I listen to every single one of your shows. I think I've honestly a couple shows I listened to twice, and even my wife actually likes the show because she's getting into social media and there's some topics that kind of merge into that area of like how things are working on the internet. So yeah, big fan. Glad to be here.
Not like, but that was, like, such a great start too, and I feel like, Greg, you're such a great fit for the show, like, as, like, the unconventional business show for people trying to make it happen, people launching their careers, launching startups, trying to stay up to date with the current landscape of business, like, you just fit in so well, so I think this is gonna be a really fun show, and we're super stoked to just, like, dive right into it. Thanks for that shout out there in the beginning, and thank you, Greg's wife, for following along as well.
Yeah, Zach, you want to tell everybody how we structure the show too?
Yeah, for those who are new, if you're just tuning in, again, unconventional business show for those making it happen. We really like create the show with 4 segments that we stay timed. We know that everyone has a busy life that they have to get to, so we try to keep this 30 minutes on the dot. We come at you with leadership, sales talk, AI intervention, and the tech report using headlines. We'll try to keep 5 minutes for all those, but for our first segment, we're actually going to do something different this week and combine leadership and sales talk and put 20 minutes on the clock for that max because we have Greg here today. So we have a ton of questions to dive into it. So Branson, let's run that 20 minutes and let's get right into it.
Awesome, got it going. All right, Greg, stoked to talk to you. Wanted to get like a quick background, kind of hear your story, kind of hear how you got to this point and what you got going.
Yeah, so my story is definitely unconventional, so it kind of matches the vibe of the show. So I graduated college in 2007 and went right into working. I worked in hotels, just something basic to kind of figure out what I wanted to do next. But also on the side, I had a online dining guide, and I don't think I ever told Zach this, but I had this dining guide called dinersnation.com, and I started it in college. And basically, it was like a pay per listing dining guide that was nationwide, and I was able to kind of hack like the SEO algorithm. So I literally could get traffic anywhere I wanted from for any type of searches. This was before like the Google Maps days. So imagine typing in like restaurants in like Boise, Idaho, like we were showing up. So I had a pay per listing service where you paid $100 a year and you got listed. And I was also able to monetize with ad revenue through Google AdSense and Commission Junction, which are affiliate programs. And I did really well on that. In fact, I did so well that I kind of had that as my main income source, and the hotel was like kind of like the real job that to satisfy my parents. So fast forward, Google Maps decided to come into play years later, and that completely upended my whole monetization strategy. And at that time, I was just coming upon this idea for TripShock. So I sold the dining guide, had a nice little exit at 22 years old, and I left the hotel to start TripShock, which is a online marketplace for tours and activities. And I'm from Destin, Florida, so we started it in the Panhandle of Florida. And basically, what we did is we signed up tour operators, water sport operators, and resold their activities and tickets and rentals through our platform, our marketplace. And for several years, we decided to continue to grow this and build, and we had a really exciting trajectory because there really was nobody doing that. So in 2017, we decided to kind of branch off and we started WaveRez. At the time, it was not WaveRez. WaveRez is a reservation software for boating and water sport businesses. So we broke that off, started that business. Obviously, like right by the time we started getting it going, we hit COVID. So there was a couple restarts there, but we really started to see the change in the industry where OTAs started to become more challenging to grow, but the reservation software side got really exciting because we saw a verticalization happening in the reservation space. And y'all two know better than anybody how impactful that was, just in the just as a lead up into like 2025, like everything starting to vertically focus. So here I am today. Personal, I'm married, I got two kids, and live in Destin, Florida, and I love every moment of everything I do. Glad to be here and share my story.
Man, I love that. That was like mic drop, honestly. Like, episode 7 of Ridiculously Professional is over. Thank you, Greg, for coming on. No, like honestly, Greg, people like you are kind of why we do this show. And that I don't know, Branson, just like listening to Greg talk right there, and especially the exit at 22, it's just like wow, it just got me a little excited. Like that's the end of why we do this.
Actually, that's exactly why. I was actually very inspired by your story and watching how you were doing things, and that's what kind of got the wheels going for me too. Just because I like how you've kind of taken each thing and kind of built upon it, it seems like, and then you keep expanding from that. And it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it just seems like a natural progression. This is all right. Well, now we got to, we should do this and we should do this piece and we should do this piece because it all kind of goes together with what you're doing.
There's also little things that we did that we don't have time for in the show, but like we started a jet ski operation in 2016. We sold that and actually did really well on. I bought a golf cart rental business, sold that, did really well. And these are all businesses that were in the ecosystem of WaveRez and TripShock. And even to this day, I could start a boat rental operation or a boat tour operation and probably have very similar success. But at some time, you got to realize that if you start doing this, it starts to kind of get in the way of what you're trying to do, your focus. And also, if I put a boat rental company in Destin, Florida, which that's the only place I'd put it because I would have to be here, it would really upset some of our clients because you already know. I mean, it's like I've learned so much about their businesses over the years. I'm actually like taking that knowledge and then using it against them. I'm not. That's kind of where like you got to know when you have to stop. But it's always interesting. One day, if I wanted to get back into the physical side, I'd have to be completely out of the software side because you gotta be respectful to the people who helped you where you're at.
For those who don't know, like maybe a little bit of nervousness. Greg is my boss for full. This is our first guest on the show, so there's natural some nervousness. But again, just really inspired by that process. If you were going to give some advice to people who are like trying to build a community like you have or build a brand like you have, which is what we talk about all the time, like I think two of your biggest strengths and something that you've done really well leading into WaveRez. Like how do you get started? Like how does someone new into this startup space like get started with building a brand and community?
Yeah, so I'll take it back to why I started to focus on my personal brand and then the brands of my company. So when I started TripShock in 2009, I did not focus on brand. It was a very transactional business where people would go to Google, say boat rentals in Miami, boom, click it and book. Like I wasn't focused on them leaving the experience of being like TripShock was a great experience booking till fulfillment. I wasn't worried about I was just worried about getting the sale, making the commission and moving to the next thing. And then about 2017, 2018, I'm like I've done this for, over 10 years and we've had good growth, but still no one knows who TripShock is. Really, unless you live in this little area. And then I'm at the point I'm building this reservation software as well. And one of my friends said, Greg, you have to get outside of your office and you got to start promoting your branding, promoting yourself. He's like, you're one of the most knowledgeable people in the industry, and you have this really close circle you're sharing it with. So the first thing I did is I started to look at conferences that were available, places where I can network with people outside of my area, like Chamber of Commerce and all that is great. But I needed to get more embedded in the industry. So Arrival, which is a conference for tours and activities, I started attending that. And then that was the start of my journey of building my personal brand because I started meeting people and then they're like, oh, you actually know a few things about OTAs or online travel agencies and reservation software in the industry and how they all connect. You should speak. So we started with that of me leading sessions and becoming more of a thought leader in that space. And then it turned into me starting a podcast with Kevin O'Neill, who's my co-host, called the Awkward Water Sport Guys. So we talk specifically, we're a niche podcast about commercial water sports and how to run it effectively and all sorts of things. And that turned into a Facebook group where we have 2,000 operators in the Facebook group, and then an event too. We created out of it called the Port. So we noticed that there wasn't an event for the commercial water sport industry. So we created an event. So everything kind of led to something else, but in it all, we created this amazing community of operators that from me as a business person, I can now uh, get that authority where I can sell them things that they trust. I can recommend things to them where they trust. And it's really hard to build that outside of these things. They see me putting in the work every single day and they want to be part of it. I mean, anyone can do this. And it starts with getting involved and getting yourself out there and making that decision that I'm going to go and I'll put myself out there. I'm going to meet people. It starts there. And then when they see that you're a pretty smart guy, they're going to want you to get involved, volunteer. And then you're leading sessions and then you're hosting podcasts. And then you're up
Yeah.
in these communities and you just never know. But the value of having that community is is amazing because that's people that I can go to on a regular basis and say, hey, what do you think of this? Or hey, you want to demo my product? They already know you and trust you. So of course they want to know what's the next best thing.
100%. 100. So a little follow-up question to that too. Like, one, do you think you like planned all that in advance, or you just kind of rolled with the punches as they came? Like new opportunities just came up and you saw them?
I did not plan it in advance. In fact, like I hope people that are kind of where I was prior to all this, thinking like, you know, hey, just because you haven't figured it out, I don't know, like I'm giving you the roadmap. Anybody can do this. And I wasn't anything special. I was a CEO of a small company that didn't do a whole lot of revenue. I mean, before I started to do all this. And it's just about connections and meeting people, educating yourself, and then sharing that knowledge and not trying to hold that knowledge back, but actually being open about it. Like on my podcast, I share a lot of stuff and some people get mad at me. Like, Greg, why are you telling the whole world about these things? Like tell them to us, but that's what gives you authority and brand recognition of you being out there. Like, ask you this, Emeril Lagasse. Yeah, Emeril Lagasse gives you all the recipes. I mean, you can ask him, he'll tell you. But how many people actually take those recipes and cook?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Fraction.
Right.
Yeah, people just want the easy out. I'm trying to give people the information to them to do it, but still, they're going to hire agencies. They're going to still use they're going to go out and build their own reservation software. They're going to use companies like WaveRez. So it's just about them trusting in you first and then building that trust. And it takes a lot of time. A podcast is 5 years old now. I started going to Rival in 2018, so it's taken some time.
Yeah, yeah. Do you think that expertise comes first and then the trust with like the industry, or it can happen hand in hand?
It can happen hand in hand.
Yeah.
I've seen people just get into the industry and be just as valuable. Or maybe they're coming from another industry. Maybe they're like a marketing expert in a different industry or a sales rep, and they come into like water sports, marine tourism. And all they got to really do is meet some people and learn that part of the trade, right?
100%.
Yeah, I think that that's definitely a huge thing that I'm seeing is these cross, industry hopping because then people are starting to learn different pieces from other industries. I think that that's pretty huge, especially at this point because people are able to share more information that maybe they didn't have just in whatever the niche they were in to start with.
Absolutely. And I think it's just like really motivating too because you like to your point that analogy you made about the recipes and like I could give you the recipes, but not everyone's willing to cook. I mean, dang, like that's spot on. I think there's not enough people, especially today. Like people want to just take up all this information and do nothing about it. I have literally been one of those people who's gotten mad at you. We've been at dinners with like prospects and whatnot, and you're just dropping like an hours long worth of truth bombs that can help this company really maximize the revenue. And like after dinner, I remember in Florida one time, I was like, Greg, like I can't believe you just gave that away for free for like, no consultation fee or anything. So it really is a testament to you. Like, I hope everyone who's listening out there, like, listen to what Greg's saying right here. A lot of it is not even what I take away is it's not even necessarily about knowing the pieces. It's just about just doing it. At some point, you got to go out there and just do like you can. Branson, we talk about this all the time, like analysis by or paralysis by analysis. but at some
Yeah.
point, you just gotta take that leap of faith and make a step. It's kinda like what we're doing with this show, honestly. So,
You gotta show up. You gotta show up. That's step one, is showing up and being like, I've been to Arrival for several years now. People that we started the port conference 5 years ago, I have people that have been there every single time, vendors and operators. And those vendors that have been there every single time, they're just getting more and more sales every time because people come like, "Oh, yeah, I saw you last year. Oh, I saw you speak last year." I mean, they're seeing that there's trust and authority and there's commitment. So, especially from the sales, I know that we have a lot of sales professionals that listen to the show, and it's like if you're going to a convention or a conference, if you feel like that conference is your ICP, go every single year. And don't expect those first 2 years to walk away with a ton of deals. The 3rd and 4th year is when you're really gonna start seeing those deals, and I see it in my own conference, is that those vendors, they start to really see an uptick on that 3rd or 4th year.
What I think that this is actually huge too is in this AI age where you're actually personally connecting with the people. I think when people are sending out just random outbound messages and everything, they're missing that piece where you start to actually learn about people. I think that that's something that's going to be huge, is showing up and meeting people in person, or, progressively building with them versus just, I guess, fast transactional sales through AI.
I think the event space in general is gonna get bigger and bigger. Like, I'm actually just going to one here in San Diego that's based out of Apollo. Shout out Apollo, great sales tool, by the way. We're gonna get that sponsorship one day, Apollo, I promise. But, yeah, no, they bring together sales reps in San Diego, and, they meet once a month, and I just think, more and more things like that are gonna be popping up, especially, like, to your point with AI. But I do wanna talk about this too, because I know we're kinda getting towards the end of this segment. Vibes are high, like, vibe selling, vibe coding, vibe everything is, like, the word these days. Like, Greg, I wanna get your honest thoughts and opinions for the general vibe revenue concept that's happening in the market in tech today.
Yeah, he's talking about specifically AI.
Yeah, like AI and like, for example, like people creating, like Sam Altman just recently said that we're going to be entering the fast fashion era of SaaS. Like I think he said this like a few days ago on LinkedIn, and a lot of it is because of you can with the new tools out there, you can create apps really quickly, but they're not gonna be like they're more like MVPs, if you will, right? They're just gonna be like first products, but I don't think they're gonna be big platforms. Now, you firsthand have talked to a lot of people who are really excited about vibe coding and all that. So I'm just kinda curious on your thoughts, like, is the vibe overhype? Like, what
Is 100% overhyped. I mean, have you actually used some of these apps yet to build code? I mean, you can make some pretty cool prototypes with them, but actual MVP products is still we're still far away. I mean,
Yeah.
it hallucinates. It doesn't connect well with APIs. You still need to have a developer involved to actually help put these things together. But overall, it's really impressive technology. Been a user of Vibe tools. Like there's, for example, there's this tool that apparently said it would automate your SEO with AI,
Mm,
and we did it for a couple months on TripShock and found that this was just all hype. It
mm.
didn't there's a lot of things I can say, but in the end of the day, this was hype, and there's so many of these AI startups that are, they get a few $1 million of funding, they run a bunch of ads, they get a bunch of users, but a lot of this stuff, I think is gonna be rolled into the big 3, Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude. A lot of these tools.
Well,
And I mean, just looking at, like, WaveRez, for example, and we have a reservation software. To me, like, I don't look at, like, booking software or reservation or management software as vibe revenue as much because when you make a commitment to use a software like that, you have to commit for a long time. Where a lot of this software that's coming on the market, especially with AI, is month to month. They try to get you a year, but it's all experimental.
Yeah.
And you can it's not gonna like it's not like a big decision where if you do pull off, it's not gonna disrupt your entire operations like a booking management system. And that's why I love the industry that we're in right now, is because it's very sticky and there's a 7 to 10 year lifetime value, average lifetime value on this software. And that's from sales professional, that's the stuff I'm gonna want to sell
Yeah.
because they're gonna be using it longer and like all the stuff that you can sell real quick and it might have a short lifespan. Like Yeah, that vibe stuff is definitely a little squirrely right now for me.
Yeah, that's a great point, and it's also nice, like, being involved with the software that's so deeply rooted in the operations of a business. Like, it's not just, like, one small facet of it. It might, like, do outbound a little quicker or, intent-based buying. Like, some of those things, those concepts are important, but you make a really interesting point, actually, in terms of, like, yeah, there are, like, really quick and to Sam Altman's point, like, fast fashion. That's actually exactly the
Exactly. No, he's 100% right.
yeah.
I think you guys are right too. Also, with the if you're going to make an investment that's going to be because most people don't want to learn a new process, a new software, and then just burn it that quick. You're going to want to be working with something that's going to have longevity to it. And I think a lot of these that you're saying is that they're going to be quick and they're not going to build on top of that. And that would be something that might stop people from using it long term because they don't want to just get a new one every 3 months or something like that. Like they have to change all their processes internally. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I like CRMs. I think because people use CRMs for a long time, typically booking management software, pricing intelligent tools. I mean, there's a lot of different aspects of SaaS where they're going to use these tools for a very long time. They're making a multi-year commitment when they sign up. Where some of these like you know pay $200 a month kind of thing and try it out. I don't know. I think those are a lot of those are going to get rolled up into the big three.
I'm 100% with you on that. That was our timer right there. Oh yeah.
I was getting excited just listening to that. So I hope everyone else listening is getting excited because you dropped some truth bombs and wisdom bombs in there. So much
Yeah,
appreciated.
thanks.
Awesome. So to hear we're gonna run that into the tech report, right?
The Tech Report.
Thesis for us today.
So I was finding I was like, how can we have fun with the tech report? Let's put 5 minutes on the clock and get right into it. But how can we have some fun with the tech report with a guest? This is like our opportunity to bring up some interesting stories and how they could pertain to our listeners. So I wanted Greg as our guest of honor. I wanted you to like kind of take the helm here and you I know you brought a headliner to the story that you want to talk about today, and we'll start with that.
Yeah, so a big thing right now is Google organic traffic has literally fallen off a cliff, and multiple news outlets. The headline that we had here is from Mashable. Basically, the summary is that Google claims that there's no traffic fallout from the AI overviews that you see when you Google something and then you see that AI overview. They're claiming that there's no click fallout, but every single major news site or tech site is saying it's dramatic as far as the fallout. Personally, I've seen multiple websites from our clients on WaveRez and TripShock seeing the exact opposite. It is horrible. So the funny part is that Google is trying to say that no, it's not, but the whole tech world is saying you're wrong and this is just a facade. So I just thought it'd be an interesting topic to riff on. I think like Google is really creating a monster that they're going to have to eventually address. But yeah, it's continually trending down.
Do you think because you have your background in SEO, that that's going to change how SEO is working overall? And also, do you think that that's going to change? I guess the first thing I thought of is that people are going to have to find different ways to bring traffic to them. So, do you think they're going to lean on AdWords a lot less, or is that even going to have?
They're going to lean on ads even more. And we're even seeing this. A lot of our clients that use ads, their acquisition costs are doubling because of this, because they're getting less organic traffic. They're having to supplement it with something. So yeah, I think the cost of online real estate is going to go up significantly. I've already seen this over the past couple years. So paying for leads from a sales perspective, paying for leads will go up quite a bit is what I'm looking at. Also, building your site to be AI ready as well. So there's some tools out there. You can even ask ChatGPT or Claude, and it will tell you what to do. But a big thing about being AI ready is making sure your website actually can be readable by AI. There's a certain format, schema markup is what they call it, but that's creating a format where they can read your site, and that's going to probably be the next big industry. I wouldn't be surprised if there's 100 SaaS companies rolling out, AI ready website tools, things like that. That's Vibe revenue. Going back to there'll be some Vibe. There'll be some Vibe fast fashion AI startups to help get your website AI ready. But yeah, I mean, they're gonna have to make it up for some while, and it's gonna be in paid ads: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Google Ads, and then just making sure that your website is readable. And I'm actually seeing bookings from ChatGPT for TripShock.com. I've seen it more and more recently. What is it going to look like in the next 2 years as far as how OpenAI will be monetizing for ads or how Gemini is going to be? So something interesting to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that yeah, you said it perfectly there at the end. The monetizing on ads, it's just a ticking time bomb, right? Like eventually AI is gonna have some type of monetization on ads, right?
Have to.
Have to.
Well, so that's actually really interesting because it seems like when you said it, so if ads are going to increase, it almost seems like it may not be, it might be a purposeful thing on Google's side because guess what? Now organic or regular traffic's not the same, so you're going to have to pay more in ads and then drive people that way.
But
It
yeah,
seems
I
like,
mean, it sounds like a perfect model for them, to make more money on ads. But what's going to happen for small businesses? That's going to make it more difficult for them to get market share. So
yeah.
the bigger operators in like our space with boating, the companies that are doing millions of dollars that have large budgets, they can spend that type of money. They're okay with having smaller margins because they're after market share. But the person who has a small business, they're not going to be able to get as many views because they can't compete in those auctions. So this is already happening today.
But what do you think small businesses can do to like stay afloat though and stay relevant?
Social media, they have to get themselves back to my original thing about getting yourself out there, putting yourself for a small business. You have got to start doing Instagram videos and Facebook. Talk about your business, build your network, build a community. You have to think outside the box because the whole Google well is drying up. Now, Google Maps still has a little bit of a play there. So, for small businesses with a physical location, there might still be some opportunity. But social to me is going to be the next phase. And that's where I'm going to be investing more my time for a couple of my businesses.
Love it.
Actually, that's a timer, but that's something I wanted to say when I heard in the very beginning too, is why I like everything that you're building here is it seems like you were basically ahead of the AI wave because you already have, the social presence, all of that. I think that we're going to go get back to the personal side of things versus
It wouldn't, you're 100% right. It's going to be almost like pre-Google
yeah.
of how businesses need to think.
Love it.
Awesome. Stoked for another great story for on that one.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. I love how the tech report also became just like a wisdom drop of how to run your business smaller, especially if you're small. So,
Yeah.
Greg, bringing the fire again. Thank you for coming on the episode. But we're just a quick end to the tech report. ChatGPT 5 did launch. We're gonna be hosting some short videos, me and Branson, on our thoughts on ChatGPT 5. But we're gonna roll right into it. I think it's time for a little sports minute, right? Take a little break and get into what's happening with sports.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. So, for those who don't know, I'm a big sports fan and especially an NFL fan. So, NFL preseason has just launched. And Greg, Branson, are you guys familiar with Shador Sanders?
How can you not be?
Yeah, I mean, everyone thought this guy was gonna be like no, like oh, he's just a nepo baby of Deion Sanders. I mean, he didn't even do that well in college. The dude kind of went off on the preseason game. So preseason started. We're getting rolling with the NFL season. Shador Sanders went off. I think he had like 2 touchdowns for 140 yards, and he did pretty good. But is this kind of like the AI vibe thing happening right now that we're talking about? Is this like too much hype too early? Like, what do you guys think? Is Shador Sanders gonna go off, or it's just one preseason game?
I'm gonna go with I think that actually is a masterclass in the same sort of building up the brand right there so that people and you kind of like have to be what you built yourself up to be. I think that he basically knew, I mean, he's got the dad that knows about building the hype around him. And then because of that, I think it's gonna push him to show up even bigger, honestly.
Yeah. I like it. I think after seeing what I saw, I mean, I know it's just preseason, but Joe Flacco, I think, is still their number one. But I was impressed. I'm excited to follow this storyline as the NFL season gets underway because I'm impressed. There's always that like one guy who joins the team, right, Branson, who you just don't really know if they're gonna be that good, and there's a lot of hype behind them. But then they close like a $200,000 deal, and you're like, oh, this guy might go off. Now that's not what Shador Sanders did. He's probably more like at this point the BDR who like set 3 meetings on their first day. It's just NFL preseason, but hey, it's a good look. It's a good start so far. So we'll see what he dives into.
I think it'd be awesome if you had BDRs that showed up in like a fur coat and the whole like, all right, I'm gonna close some I'm gonna close some meetings today.
Dude,
I would love to see that.
bro, if a VDR shows up to work with like a gold chain and like, you know, one of those like big old furry hats and yeah, and I would be like, yeah, I respect the hell out of this person. You ever had someone show up to work like that, Greg? Just like day one, just like, who the heck is this guy?
So we're all remote. I don't get the pleasure. I don't get the pleasure, but I remember like I was on a call and the salesperson, I forget what it was. This is like, right during COVID days. And the salesperson had like a suit and tie on. And then his dog, I guess, was like came in the room and he had to get up and he had like nothing on underneath. He just has his boxers on.
No
He
way.
was trying to sell me. And I'm just like, okay, well, I understand. I mean, it's one thing to put like maybe your joggers on, but no, he just was, and I don't think he had any idea that I saw that because he had to like go and let his dog out of the room. But yeah, it was,
Oh no. That's like the ultimate no-no, I feel like, but it reminds me of that one video. Do you remember, like, when there's, like, a famous video out there where this like, the CEO of the company is talking, he's wearing a suit, he's wearing a tie, he's, like, dressed to the nines, but then he also just has boxers on, and he stands up to go get something, and then, like, the worker on the other side of the meeting is doing the same thing, or I think it might have been, like, the worker who was dressed like that, and then the CEO stands up, he's like, "I'm dressed like that too," and they kinda have that, like, Spider-Man pointing at each other moment, like, "Oh, you're faking the bottoms too?"
It was you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll keep it moving. We'll keep it moving. Last thing I want to talk about here. This actually just dropped. We're filming this on 8/11 here, so it's Monday. Dude, UFC and Paramount Plus just inked a $7.7 billion deal. So UFC will now be available on Paramount Plus. This is really big because it brings in the implications of like pay-per-view sports. Maybe this is like the end of that, and streaming is going to come in and completely take it over because Paramount Plus is not going to be increasing their subscription price, but now all UFC fights are going to be available to Paramount Plus subscribers, and a couple of the main ones each year are going to be on CBS. So actually being on cable. Huge update to the sports world. I'm not a big UFC like guy myself, but I just find that fascinating that business deal gets struck. And that's Branson, that's billion, like B, like your first name.
Do you think that this means that the what do you call it? Athletes are gonna get paid more now too, or no? It's good. Yeah.
Probably just continued brain damage and no payout.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. That makes.
there, hopefully there's huge breakage in subscriptions. So it makes a whole lot of sense to like not like just like Disney Plus. No one's ever going to buy DVDs, in a few years. It's all going to be subscription, and the money on the breakage is where it's at because they know people will just let those subscriptions ride. So I mean, it's a no brainer, really.
Do you think this is actually, now that we say that, like a trend that might be happening with other things that are rolling into these full subscription services? So like instead of one individual subscription, now you have, a large subscription that also includes a lot of other individual subscriptions.
Are we talking about like bundling sales engagement platforms and CRMs and like AI intent based systems?
I don't know. I was just throwing it out there.
That might be a brilliant idea, actually.
That's just what I thought about. I know that there's a guy. Is it Lenny's? There's it's a email. What do we call those things? They come out every month. Like a newsletter. A newsletter. He's got a newsletter, and when you sign up for his newsletter, you get access to all these other AI tools. So I think that might be kind of interesting to have subscriptions that are just full of subscriptions, basically.
Yeah.
It's kind of like what Apple does, right? They're like manage all the subscriptions for you. Well, not so much, but yeah, Disney Plus, they'll give you different subscription options with ESPN and everything. But yeah, I mean, that's where honestly everything, not just you know pleasure subscriptions, but business. I mean, everything is turning to a subscription because there's just more money to be made and then a one and done purchase. So
It's true. It's true. Well, Paramount handing out those billion because South Park also got that $1.5 billion payday. So now the UFC got $7.7 billion payday. I guess they fired Stephen Colbert and were just like, yeah, we have a bunch of money to hand out. So they're handing it out. But I know we went a little longer with Sports Minute, but we will dive into AI intervention next. Segment for the show. Branson, go ahead and take us away.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about, because since ChatGPT 5 just came out, I've been noticing a lot of people talking about how, I mean, they have their qualms about it, but what I've seen a lot of people suggesting is that GPT 5 is actually more intelligent than the last versions. And that because of that, you need to look at your prompting structure a lot more, because apparently the smarter that it gets, the more that you need to dial in the prompts overall. So I just want to give some tips on what I have for prompting optimization. And I'm just gonna there's six main pieces that I've seen that you could break your prompts down to. The first one is having a persona and a goal. So you're gonna be specific about who the AI is and then what its goal it's going to be go towards. So you're giving it a role.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this kind of being like, "Hey, I wanna, like, you're gonna be a travel agent, and Gavin has helped me," right? Like, giving
Yeah,
a job description, basically.
yeah, you're gonna the previous versions, you could be a lot more, "Hey, I just want you to fix this, I don't know, email for me." Now you're gonna wanna actually really give it full on, "Hey, you're a, sales professional that has been working on outbound for 20 years, and this is what you do. I want you to review my email and then come out with the best outbound for given all the information that you can find on the internet." That actually leads into number two, which is context and examples. Using examples are really heavy. I've actually been doing this with some of our stuff where I'm taking transcripts from our shows and then giving it to the GPT. This is almost like a RAG agent, which is like a database, but you're doing it on each prompt. So you're going to give it an example. You're going to say, here's all this information. I want you to write it like this. And then that way it'll know kind of the way it's going to do it.
Mhm.
And then you're going to break it down you're going to give it step-by-step instructions. So you're going to say, hey, I want you to think step by step. Here's step one, here's step two. You're going to break it down from there. Then if you can, give it bullet points, numbered lists. And then this is something new is that you actually have it review and improve on your whatever it's written. So have it look over everything, see if it can improve on anything first. And then the last one is also, this is also a new piece, is your constraints, don't do this, this, and this. And then you also tell ChatGPT how hard you want it to work. So before it hasn't had that before, you can actually tell it now, like, this is a really quick task. Don't think about it too much. Or I want you to work really hard on this, and that's going to change the output.
That's interesting.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
The self-check just, like, in my head, I just imagined, like, ChatGPT self-checking itself, and you know how, like, everyone just pretty much uses his AI to be more concise with things?
Yeah.
I just imagine this, like, circle of ChatGPT, like, getting more and more concise, and then it just, like, ends up with, like, one word, and it just, like, summarized everything you wanna do with, like, the word "the." Almost, you know what I mean? It's
Like a light moments, like you see everything just
yeah,
that. Yeah.
it's like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, like, ChatGPT is just like the answer to life is 42. Is as simple as that.
So
But
Branson, when you were saying like you got to be more intent when you
yes.
ask, I thought of some. You guys are gonna laugh at me, but you know the movie Aladdin, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When Aladdin has to ask the genie for things, but you have to be very specific.
Yes.
No, that's first.
So it's like I'm thinking like, man, like is there ChatGPT's the genie, and you got to be real specific, or else you're not gonna get what you asked for. But anyways, yeah, that's what I thought.
No, that's exactly
That is so spot on.
that.
That is so perfect.
That is actually exactly what I saw, that they're having a problem with the rollout because it's more intelligent now by their standards, but people actually they don't like that. They want it to be simple, so they're trying to figure out this. As it gets more intelligent, you have to be more specific, like the genie thing, but also, yeah, it seems like a interesting kind of blend of things.
OpenAI is like, "Yeah, sorry, humans, you have to get smarter. We're not the problem. You guys are the problem." That's like that's the first step to Skynet, I feel like. We're
Oh,
we're on the note of movie references.
yeah, well, you're right, because it's basically like, listen here, stupid human. You got to get smarter in the way you're talking to me. Like,
Exactly, exactly. Question
about
go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, Greg, yeah, what do you have any prompts that you've been using, or is like ChatGPT your go-to, or do you go in between the big three, like for different things?
Well, I use Bolt for coding if
Okay.
I need to do a prototype, which is awesome for building prototypes. But sometimes I'll build the prompts in ChatGPT, help me kind of, and then I'll paste it into Bolt because ChatGPT is better at creating the prompt. But I use those two pretty regularly. As far as prompting goes, I do every time when I prompt, I always pick the profession. So if I'm creating like some ad copy, I will say that I'm a professional content writer for a Fortune 500 travel company. So I'll always prompt it with like who is actually doing the task. And I've actually compared it side by side, and I get way better responses when I do that. I also do some things like if I'm writing an email to somebody, it knows me so well because I've been using ChatGPT for over a year. So I like how it knows my voice pretty well. And I always will prompt it to make sure that it's talking in my voice, no M dashes, move all these. I actually have a copy paste list of all the words I don't want it to say. So I'll pop it in there. I wish that I could create some instructions for every single conversation, and maybe it exists, but like every single conversation, no M dashes, do not use any of these words, don't use any of these phrases, and then that way I don't have to keep asking it every single time. That's one way it can be smarter.
That
But
goes back to the tokens, right? And Branson, I know we're going to be talking more on that on future episodes, but a lot of that is like the tokens, right?
Yeah, the buzzer just went, but I actually do want to go into that. That is so with the new version, it has a lot larger token limit. So it's supposed to be able to remember more. So you should be able to copy and paste that. You could have the whole thing written, I guess, just put it into a text file and then just add that every single time. You also technically could make your own RAG agent that has all of this information, but that's like next step from just using chat GPTs. But yeah, the M dashes still kill me. It's the
and
worst.
it's the clear, like when you're reading an email, you just know that that person used AI. When I see that they've used AI to write something to me,
Yeah.
I feel like a little cheap. Like, man, you couldn't even spend the time to write me something.
Yeah.
I mean, even misspell some words. That's even probably more real than getting this like AI written response. I mean, you can now everyone's going to be able to read,
Yeah.
or know.
Isn't that crazy? We have to like remind ourselves to have improper grammar to like make sure we know we're talking to another human. Like that blows my mind. Well, Branson, I think that kind of wraps up our show. I don't think I've ever been more excited to go watch a recording of one of our episodes yet, just because Greg, having you on and some of the advice that you shared for people trying to get into it, start businesses, scale the ladder, be really savvy in their specific verticals, like just some truth bombs all throughout. And it was just a pleasure to go through it with you here today.
Yeah, I love it. I know I love being on the show. And then if anyone needs anything, if you need to just ask questions about how to form a community, how to start a podcast, and how to, what conferences might look right for me. I mean, I'm not in all industries, but I could give you maybe some advice of which ones to start with. But my email is gfisher@waverez.com, and feel free to reach out to me or hit me up on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to have a conversation with anybody and get them on their journey. I had a lot of great mentors early on, and I'm just kind of paying it forward.
Love that. Love that. And if you haven't, you've got to check out Awkward Water Sports Guys podcast. That's Greg's podcast. You guys are on what episode, like 200 now? You guys have been
Yeah, almost like 190 or something. Like, yeah, we're up there.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully we make it there one day. And Mastering OTAs, I know that's the book that you wrote, and you're coming out with a new book. You want to like quick elevator pitch your new book, Boat Boss?
Yeah, so Mastering OTAs, my first book, it was about, how tour operators can leverage online marketplaces. And my new book is more dialed in, and it's called Boat Boss. And it's about how water sport boat tour operators can leverage booking software and online tools to maximize their revenue and grow their business. And it kind of goes back to building community. Once you get done building a community, where else can you go, right? So building educational tools. So this is just one way for me to educate our industry, but also it is a lead gen for WaveRez too. So, it's just, I just can continue to find ways to generate authority for myself and my businesses and more pathways for people to come and experience the companies I'm creating. So
Love it.
We'll be dropping the links in the comments too to Boat Boss, Mastering OTAs, and the podcast. Guys, that was so much fun. I thought that was a good time.
It was amazing. Thanks, Greg.
yeah, thanks again.
Thanks for another episode of Ridiculously Professional. We have big news coming in episode 8, so tune in next week for our next show. And until then, guys, have a great week.
Thanks, everybody.
Peace out.